I can't believe that I haven't done this yet. But hi guys, it's Bunnymon and welcome to today's video and welcome to another WWE reaction. For today, I am reacting to the Rock story. And now this video actually was recommended by the real Ahoy. Not Ahoy. Like, that sounded bad. Never mind. Sorry. And he or she said, you should definitely watch The Rise of The Rock if you haven't done. His first year in the company, so fans reject him as a good guy cookie cutter type. Then in year 2, he turned bad guy. And from then on, it was all upward for the character and the man he became. I even replied, so wow, that sounds epic. Immediately took the screenshot and realized and decided to actually react to it. I did find the video by Wrestler with Andy called People's Champ, the Rock Story full career documentary, and I really can't believe that I haven't done this before. Like, The Rock is one of the more famous wrestlers out there. If you take The Rock and then John Cena, I feel like people would immediately choose these two names if you ask them about WWE or any type of wrestling out there in the entertainment business, and they would know these names. All right guys, if you want to check out more WWE content, go to my Patreon, patreon.com/supportbunny. I do upload videos there that are blocked or copyrighted on YouTube, or full matches that are definitely a no-no on YouTube unless it is from WWE itself. Then you can go and check out my reaction there. I also shout you out there if you have recommended something, and I take your recommendations from Patreon as well and upload them here on YouTube. All right guys, let's go and watch this video, shall we?
There are a lot of wrestlers who have become big stars within the industry. Just look at the likes of Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, or Triple H for evidence of this.
And I know their names.
There are even a select few who have managed to breach the mainstream, such as Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, or John Cena.
And The Rock.
No one in the history of wrestling has ever been able to smash through that glass ceiling into the larger
as
culture
much as The Rock.
Like Dwayne Johnson. Going from arguably the biggest star in WWE during the late 90s and early 2000s to, at points, the highest grossing movie star in the world over a decade later. Yes, it's been a long and storied voyage to the top for the Great One, but how did it all happen? Well, join us today as we take a deep dive into his entire career journey in People's Champ, The Rock
his
Story.
face like almost stayed the same, but with the hairstyle.
Dwayne Douglas Johnson was born on May 2nd, 1972 in Hayward, California to parents Atta and Rocky, the latter of which, of course, was the legendary territory wrestler Soul Man Rocky Johnson, one half of the first ever African-American WWE Tag Team Champions with Tony Atlas. And you'd think this alone would make it destiny for the young Dwayne to get into the world of sports entertainment, but as if that wasn't enough, he was also a member of the iconic Anoa'i family on his mother's side, his grandfather being the High Chief Peter Maivia, the blood brother of Amatunawai Anoa'i, the patriarch of the clan. Despite this lineage and a natural gift for athletics, however, Dwayne would not grow up wanting to be a wrestler. Sure, he would enjoy watching it as a child, frequently seeing many of his kin kicking ass and taking names, but when it came to where he saw his own career going, it was very much in football, a sport he would start playing at school and would quickly discover he had a lot of skill in. That said though, school days weren't always fun and games for the future movie star, as he would find himself getting into a lot of trouble with the police during those days, getting arrested multiple times during his teenage years as he struggled to develop any roots, given the fact that his family would frequently move around from place to place as a consequence of his father's job.
That's hard.
Yes, during his formative days, Dwayne would spend time in places as far and wide as New Zealand, Hawaii, North Carolina, Connecticut, Tennessee, and Pennsylvania, all before settling in Florida after he'd accepted a football scholarship for the University of Miami. There, he would play mostly as a...
I don't know how it is in America, but getting a scholarship means like you are one of the best. Like, you really need to show them a reason for them to actually give you money out there, you know, and help you out.
Offensive tackle, and would even win a national championship with them in 1991. This being enough so that, after graduating in 1995 with a bachelor's degree in criminology and physiology, he would move over to the Canadian Football League, where he had a brief run with the Calgary Stampeders as a linebacker. Still, for a man as driven as Dwayne was, he quickly realized that he wasn't reaching the levels he wanted to, and so, by 1996, he decided to make the jump over to the world of his father and grandfather instead.
Like, this is a person who is so hungry and passionate for success. He gets a bachelor degree, and instead of deciding to like just find a local job, like raise a family, he's like, I can do that, but also I can do something else, like something more, something bigger. It is crazy. That's the type of people who succeeds in life. I wish I had that. I show up, I do, but like that passion, you know, all in, never all in. I wish all in, but never all in. That's the problem.
There beginning his training in pro wrestling. And given his name and the fact that he'd taken to the whole thing like a duck to water, it didn't take long then for Pat Patterson to notice him, with him getting the youngster several tryouts with WWE, where he would perform under his real name, taking on the likes of Owen Hart, Chris Candido, and the Brooklyn Brawler at house shows. Following this, Dwayne would make a brief pit stop in Jerry Lawler's United States Wrestling Association, working under the name of Flex Cavana and winning their tag team titles with Bart Sawyer. All this before getting signed up to a full-time contract with Vince McMahon's promotion, then being sent over to Dr. Tom Pritchard to complete his training. And so, by that year's Survivor Series pay-per-view on November 17, 1996, having made his TV debut just 2 weeks earlier, Dwayne was finally ready to hit the ring for his first match.
That's so nice.
There, now being rechristened as
Look,
Rocky
Maivia,
so a combination of both his father and grandfather's names,
exactly.
He took part in a 4-on-4 elimination match that would see him end up becoming the sole survivor.
And that is like the thing, don't get me wrong, like I feel like it would be harder for someone who doesn't have any origins coming from wrestling, like someone who didn't get any touch and their family or their genetics had nothing to do with being sporty. And immediately being so confident at performing so well, it is almost impossible. Like, it is so hard to find such examples, but it is possible, but almost not. However, with him, like, he already had this family history that he can rely on or learn from, and it's like a training. Like, he went past the training section and he did, you know, when you go to a tutorial, he did the tutorial. He doesn't need a tutorial. He can start from mission 1.
Showing that the company saw a lot in his future. And as the weeks went on, the hard push for the third-generation superstar continued.
And I love how he's wearing
Come
stuff
February
that are 13th,
1997,
from his culture.
He would even beat a young Hunter Hearst Helmsley to win the Intercontinental title for the first time. Despite this, though, there was already a fan backlash growing as, with the company now being in the dawning age of the anti-hero, where the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin would become the cool thing to like, the smiling babyface theatrics of Rocky were largely seen as passé. And so this led to him getting vitriolic heat from audiences, some of whom would even go as far as to bring signs that read, "Die, Rocky, die," all while loudly chanting, "Rocky sucks" at him.
That is a lot of hate.
Seeing this then, WWE decided to pivot. And so, after Rocky suffered a knee injury and had to take some time out, the company began making plans to turn him heel. A decision that would become apparent.
You notice how many times the wrestlers, when they are hitting with the storyline that they are going through, and they hit a brick wall and there is no passing, a lot of times it's like an injury or some time off before coming back with something more. And besides the fact that the whole team needs to reevaluate their decisions and make up a new story, I feel like it is always needed for the person to step back and reflect. And that is the thing that we don't do a lot because we are on a grind the whole time, especially me with my job. Every single day it's like recording videos, let's go, let's do this, let's stream, like I'm always on the move and I don't even have time to sit down and reflect. And I wish I do, because I think I would come up with really awesome ideas and I would be able to work on projects that require more than 1 day to make and would come up with really awesome things, because I did finish art high school and I am an artist myself, and I think I can come up with things that are even more worthy to watch and enjoy. And I suffer with that. I always think about it, but now I moved on from what I wanted to say. But it is really important to reflect, you know, to step back and reflect on your work, especially if you are not satisfied with the outcome. That's what I wanted to say.
On screen when he returned in August of 1997, with him from there joining up with the Nation of Domination and lashing out at those fans who had been booing him. And in the process of this, with his confidence now growing, Rocky was able to let his natural charisma
What do you mean growing?
Through,
he already has
to
it.
develop
Look at
the
him.
cocky and effortlessly cool side to his character
He's a
that would
mountain.
soon go on to define him.
Yeah.
This was also when he changed his name to The Rock and started referring to himself only in third person, using this change in attitude to help propel him back towards success as he entered into a feud with Steve Austin later that year.
Oh my God, The Rock.
This program ultimately serving as a tease for what the future would hold for both men. And by the end of that first chapter, The Rock would once again be the Intercontinental Champion. From there, going on to defend this belt against Ken Shamrock over the next few months.
Ken who?
But
Shamrock?
Despite Shamrock clearly being positioned as the babyface in this rivalry, by that point, the sheer charisma of his opponent was becoming too much for fans to ignore as more than a few cheers began seeping in through the chorus of boos. Cheers that would only grow over time as Rocky morphed into the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. A star in-ring athlete and arguably the greatest promo in wrestling history. One who could hold crowds everywhere in the palm of his hand, much like rock stars of the past such as Elvis Presley and Freddie Mercury. In fact, so over had he become by then that the night after WrestleMania 14, he would overthrow Farouk as the leader of the nation. From there, taking up the mantle himself as the stable entered into a feud with D-Generation X, a feud that would eventually center on the rivalry between Rocky and Triple H. And this was a rivalry that would seep into real life as well, as both men had made it clear that they wanted to be the company's next top dog, and saw the other as
Triple
being
H
the way
found
of
the girl
achieving
for
this.
that.
Ultimately, though, Rocky was just too popular to be overcome at that point. And so, even though he would lose his IC title to the Game during a ladder match at August 30th, 1998 SummerSlam, he would soon find himself being rocketed up to the main event anyway. Of course, before this could happen though, Vince McMahon would have to address the elephant in the room and turn him babyface, given that the Great One was getting monster reactions everywhere he went. By now, he'd already started referring to himself as the People's Champion some months previous to this, a moniker that was initially supposed to get heel heat for the California native. Come the autumn though, it was clear that he was indeed the favorite of the people, arguably even more so than the company's top star, Steve Austin. And so, when the WWE title was vacated that autumn...
Oh my God, I like this picture. See, I feel like this picture would teach me a lot about... like, I know who Undertaker is. I don't know who Bai is. I know Kane, Rock, Goldust, Mankind, Stone Cold, Jarrett, yeah, Shamrock, I think so. Snow, I don't know, X-Pac, Regal, Bossman. I feel like, and HHH is Triple H. Okay, now I get it, yeah.
The new champion to be determined during a one-night tournament at November's Survivor Series pay-per-view. There only seemed like two reasonable options for the winner.
Does that mean you see all of these people in one night?
What no one expected, though, was on that night, Rocky would win his first WWE title, but only after turning his back on the people and joining forces with the evil boss and his corporation cronies in the process, with him from there only referring to himself as the corporate champion and basking in the boos of the audience once more.
Okay.
Now, it might have seemed like a strange thing for WWE to turn one of their hottest stars heel right as they were reaching the next level of popularity, but there was a method to this madness, as he was being positioned for a big main event at WrestleMania 15 against the man who was fast becoming the yin to his yang, Stone Cold himself. Before this, though, he would have a feud with Mick Foley at the start of the year, one which would see them trade the world title back and forth for a few months and would feature some truly iconic moments, such as the night Mick won his first WWE title on the January 4th, 1999 episode of Raw, the time the two men fought inside an empty arena during halftime heat, and the now infamous I Quit match at the Royal Rumble later that month. Once this was over, though, and Foley had fully prepared his opponent for the biggest match of his life, it was down to business, as WWE began building that year's WrestleMania main event, where the company's two biggest superstars would meet in their inevitable showdown. On the night, however, it would be Austin who would get the win, and even when Rocky got another shot at the following month's Backlash, a match which was arguably better than the previous encounter.
Okay, now I'm sad. I miss so much. I miss, like, you guys have no idea how lucky you are that you saw the greatest of the greatest being fighting there. Like, what we have today, I guess it's still good, you know, but who is the next Rock? Who is the next Steve Austin, like, that I would go and watch? All right, we have a lot of them that are cool, don't get me wrong, but not like these guys. These guys are so special.
he still wouldn't be able to pin his rival to regain his lost gold. Still,
but when
failure
was this?
wasn't
Maybe
a
I was
word in
really
the Great
small,
One's vocabulary.
like a child.
And so, quickly bouncing back from this then, he gave fans what they'd been begging for when he finally turned babyface again the next night, reigniting his feud with Triple H in the process as he started making it his aim to take out the corporation one by one.
Ooh.
And now, formerly a good guy again, The Rock's popularity swelled to even greater heights than it had before.
Yep.
He had excellent matches with the likes of The Undertaker over the course of the first half of the year, while also continuing to prove that he was the best promo in the business, becoming an absolute catchphrase machine as he gave us the likes of laying the smackdown, just bring it, and it doesn't matter. All while the millions and millions of his fans chanted along with every word.
True.
By that summer, he even got the distinction of having the company's newest show, SmackDown, be named after one of his catchphrases. And it was on SmackDown, as well as Raw, that he would form an unlikely bond with his old rival Mick Foley, the two going on to form the Rock and Sock Connection, probably the best odd couple team in WWE history, as the effortlessly cool Rocky would bounce off the weird and freaky Foley perfectly. It took a while for Mick to endear himself to his far more stylish partner, of course, but once he did, it was magic at every step.
Look at it.
In fact, they're now famous This Is Your Life segment on the August 30th episode of Raw, which saw Mick regale the Great One with supposed figures from his past, would become the highest ever rated segment in the show's history at that time.
Nice!
And from there, the two would even have 3 separate runs as tag team champions together, holding those belts on and off until October of 1999, as fans cheered them along at every step. They would only really lose them, in fact, when the hardcore legend, feeling the wear and tear of his years of ultra-high-risk style, began readying himself for retirement. On top of that, the fact that Steve Austin was about to spend a year out of action so he could go get neck surgery left a face of the company-shaped hole that the People's Champion was only too happy to pick up, becoming the undisputed top star of WWE throughout 2000. A year which to this day is still considered by many to be the absolute peak of not just Vince McMahon's promotion, but of wrestling in general.
Okay.
And of course, with the most eyeballs that had ever watched the show now firmly tuned in each week, The Rock's magnetic charisma shone through screens around the world, this turning him into a full-blown mainstream phenomenon as he made guest appearances on the likes of That 70s Show and Star Trek Voyager, while also hosting Saturday Night Live and even becoming the subject of a song by Wyclef Jean.
And it's starting,
he became a pop culture icon, in fact, as even more so than Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan, the California boy became the public face of wrestling.
True.
This all helped his continued upward momentum in the ring, too, as by April 30th's Backlash pay-per-view, he would finally be able to pin Triple H to become WWE Champion once more, with him from there defending this belt against a who's who over that summer that included the likes of Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, The Undertaker, Kane, and even the McMahons themselves.
Oh my God, like when,
in fact, during a year when Steve Austin was gone from action, it was The Rock, and to a lesser extent, The Game, that ended up carrying the company on their backs. This proving that when given the ball to run with, the People's Champion could not be stopped.
Yep, but
even
that's
when Austin returned to action,
companies don't like that. I feel like companies don't like to have their whole success on one person, even if that person brings all the numbers, because they are scared that person will become too comfortable or will ask more and they will not be able to indulge in all of these requests and stuff like that. So companies hate when there is one person holding the monopoly. Every company, even YouTube and Twitch and like every company.
In the autumn, the Great One's progress wasn't stalled, and by this point, there was even a legitimate argument to be had about who was the real top star in the promotion.
Together there.
That was why it felt inevitable then that the two would meet once more, with this eventually happening at April 1st, 2001's WrestleMania 17.
I mean,
the show that's
the thing is that I feel like true fans of wrestling would go to watch both of these legends. I would not say like it's only The Rock who carried the show, because they went to see Steve as well. But of course, people who are into pop culture more, they would be like, oh yeah, Rock. I don't even know who Steve is, like Rock, you know? So that's the difference.
Day regarded by many to be the greatest ever put on by any company. And a big part of this was the perfect main event that saw arguably the two biggest stars in the industry's history at that point battling it out to see once and for all who was the best. Of course, anyone who was watching at the time will remember that, while The Rock went into the
Rock
show
won?
as the champ. In hindsight,
no.
the heel turn was a decision that's been credited as the reason for the boom period ending, and while it was a large part of it, it also hurt that it was the point when Rocky first began getting interest from Hollywood, with this pulling his focus away from wrestling more and more
I think
in
they
the
did
years
it on
that
purpose,
followed,
that
as
Steve
movies
went, yeah.
gradually became his priority.
Oh no.
After WrestleMania 17, in fact, he would take some time off to go and film his first major role as the Scorpion King in The Mummy 2.
Oh.
And so successful was this role for him that just a year later he would get his own spin-off, unsurprisingly named The Scorpion King, as his momentum continued. That wasn't to say he was done with wrestling altogether though, because he would have a few more prominent runs left in him.
Nice.
The first of which would begin when he came back from his beatdown at the hands of Austin and McMahon to rescue Team WWE during the Invasion storyline in mid-2001, positioning himself then as the captain of the New York promotion in their ongoing war against the villainous alliance of WCW and ECW. During this time, he would even become the WCW champion on 2 separate occasions, beating Booker T at that year's SummerSlam to start his first reign, and then Chris Jericho on the November 5th episode of Raw to start his second. Survivor Series, this formally ending the Invasion and leaving WWE as the ultimate victors. From there, the People's Champion set his sights on becoming the first undisputed champion, and though he would ultimately fail to do this, he did get quite the consolation prize when, in February of 2002, the NWO came into the company and immediately set about injecting everything in their sights with a lethal dose of poison.
Wow.
Part of this takeover included Hulk Hogan coming out to do a promo on the February 18th episode of Raw, intent on positioning himself as the top dog once again after having been away for the last 9 years. Of course, during those 9 years, things had changed a lot, and now the Hulkster was arguably no longer the biggest star in the industry. That's why the Great One felt the need to hit the ring and confront him, from there challenging him to have a dream match at the upcoming WrestleMania 18, one which Hogan accepted with glee. And so, just like that, maybe the most important bout in wrestling history had been booked. The biggest mainstream star of the past versus the biggest mainstream star of the present.
Yep.
Given how anticipated the whole thing was then, the actual contest had a lot to live up to. And had it been 2 lesser performers in the ring that night, it could have very easily fallen flat on its face. Luckily though, Rocky and Hogan were not 2 lesser performers, and so, when the time for the bell came, they played the crowd like a fiddle, doing very little, but speaking volumes with what they did do.
Of course, yep.
In terms of a sustained match-long crowd reaction, it's probably still the most intense atmosphere ever seen at a wrestling show.
Oh my God, I wish
and though
I was
nostalgia
there.
did lead many in the crowd to cheer for Hogan that night, and even a few to boo Rocky, by the end, it would be the People's Champion who would get the pinfall,
they're so respectful
the torch having been firmly passed over to him in a truly once-in-a-lifetime moment.
There you go, he won.
After that, the budding Hollywood star hung around for a little while longer before going off to shoot his next movie, The Rundown. During this time, before he left, he would be the first overall pick during the company's inaugural draft, and would even become undisputed champion for a period after beating Kurt Angle and The Undertaker in a hugely underrated triple threat match at July 21st, 2002's Vengeance. Following this, he would put the incoming Brock Lesnar over strong at the next month's SummerSlam pay-per-view. Despite this selfless attitude though, by then, the constant sabbaticals to go and film movies had left some fans to start souring on the Great One, with the perception beginning to build that he was abandoning them for the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. That was largely why, when he returned to the ring on January 30th, 2003, he'd once again morphed into a heel, this time portraying himself as Hollywood Rock, an iteration that many, years removed, now regard to be his best. Maybe it was because he once again truly felt like the cocky performer he had been back when he first got over, coming out to the ring with an arrogant, toothy smile and dark sunglasses,
he even
performing special rock concerts where he would serenade everyone with his own hits such as SmackDown Hotel, all while mocking the fans in attendance. It was a complete revitalization of the character, and it propelled him towards much success as he would not only beat Hulk Hogan for a second straight time during the rematch at February 23rd's No Way Out, but he would also finally get that elusive win over Steve Austin during the 3rd in their trilogy at WrestleMania 19 a month later, the very match that ended up being the Rattlesnakes' swan song from the ring. And as if retiring Stone Cold wasn't enough, the Hollywood star continued to prove he was a class act and someone who would give back to those lower down on the card when he had a mini program with the Hurricane, even going as far as to lose to him on the March 10th episode of Raw.
No way! Why would you lose to him?
Following this, he had a match with the incoming Goldberg.
How does that happen?
With the Great One coming out on the losing end of that bout too, as he prepared to once again leave and go film his next movie.
Okay, yeah, he's like, I don't care. Let me start losing and giving the torch to someone else.
Returning once again as a babyface and eventually setting up a tag match
at WrestleMania 20,
make up his mind where he would reunite with his old
not?
Rock and Sock tag team partner Mick Foley to take on Ric Flair, Batista, and Randy Orton of Evolution. And that, as it turned out, aside from a couple more cameo appearances, would be his last major appearance with WWE for almost a decade. Of course, the idea—
Wait, what? What do you mean? Error? Yeah, we didn't know where your papers were. You know, you have been insignificant for a while, so it's somewhere there, and we're like so lazy to even find it because the whole thing is not important at all. Like, what do you mean? Also, like, technology, hello, like folders, files, computers, like 2004. I think people started using computers. Not even started, like, big time, you know? I don't know, brother. That's sus. I want to know the truth.
Vince McMahon simply forgot to re-sign The Rock is laughable, and it seems far more likely that there was some beef between the two parties.
Of course there were. Like, duh, Sherlock and every other detective. Of course there was a beef. What do you think? Like, come on. We're not that naive. We are not that naive. We know stuff. We can figure it out. 1 + 1 is 2. Right? Yeah, it is. You don't even have to answer, but if you want, you can say right, Bunny. You're smart. Thank you.
By then, the People's Champion was becoming such a big movie star that he was starting to outshine the brand of WWE itself.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why.
Removing himself almost entirely from the world of wrestling then and focusing all of his energies on his film career instead. Rocky started going by his real name of Dwayne Johnson once again as he began building on his already impressive portfolio of box office hits. But while many of his more comedic leading early roles had made him a legitimate star, such as his performances in kids' movies like Race to Witch Mountain and The Tooth Fairy, it wasn't until he got the role of Luke Hobbs in the Fast and Furious franchise.
Guys, this is it. 7 days of me watching all the Rock movies. Would you actually go through that with me? I would upload my reaction to the full movies on Patreon, but I would upload the whole video of me watching all of these in 7 days and rating them and commenting on them throughout these 7 days in one video, like a vlog type of video. Let me know if you would watch something like that in the comment down below, and if you have similar ideas, like a challenge.
He fully solidified his position as a modern-day Arnold Schwarzenegger action hero. And at points, the biggest box office attraction in the entire movie industry.
The second Mummy.
That's what made it so special and so unexpected then when, after 7 years of having been away from WWE, he was announced as the surprise guest host of WrestleMania 27 on the February 14th, 2011 episode of Raw, coming out to a monster reaction and then cutting a promo on one half of that year's main event, John Cena, lambasting him for public comments he had made about the Great One that criticized him for abandoning WWE for so long. And as it happened, these comments had led to real-life heat between the two men, as Dwayne felt disrespected by them. Capitalizing on this then, the company began using it to set up an eventual match between the two, something which was solidified when, at WrestleMania 27, Rocky laid out Cena with a rock bottom and cost him the win. This causing Big Match John to make a challenge to the Great One the next night on Raw, face him one-on-one at the following year's WrestleMania 28. Yes, it was a unique marketing strategy to book the main event of WrestleMania 1 year in advance, but it worked, because when The Rock came back for a tune-up match at November 20th Survivor Series, teaming with his future opponent to take on The Miz and R-Truth, the show did monster box office buys. And if there was any doubt about how the eventual singles match would work out, WrestleMania 28 made even more money, becoming the best-drawing WWE pay-per-view in history, as, in an echo of his showdown with Hulk Hogan a decade prior, Rocky faced off in a past versus present dream match, which, to the surprise of many, saw the Hollywood star pick up the win. Of course, the reason for this soon became apparent as whispers began going around that WWE were planning to book a rematch the following year, using the intervening time to tell the story of John Cena finding redemption after having suffered the biggest loss of his career. This did slightly dampen the idea of the original match having been promoted as once in a lifetime, but nevertheless, the return bout was always destined to be another huge success, especially when the People's Champion once again became the WWE Champion after
that would be
beating...
me. That would definitely be me. You see the guy in the background where he's like holding his head and he's like, ah, shout. Like, that would be me there, man. Look at him with the white shirt.
Champion once again became the WWE Champion
I don't know how
after
people don't
beating
get that
CM
excited.
Punk
Like,
for the
I
title
would be
at the
so
2013
excited.
Royal Rumble, making this second encounter between the two faces of the company for all the gold. And in the natural conclusion to this story, when the two faced off one more time at WrestleMania 29 on April 7th, 2013, Cena finally got his redemption when he pinned the Great One in the middle of the ring to regain his gold and his pride in the process.
Whoa.
As of the time of this video's recording, though, that would mark
When was
Rocky's
this? 2
last
years
real
ago?
match in a WWE ring.
Did it happen
something
again?
no doubt partially decided by the fact that he injured himself during it,
Oh, no.
tearing multiple tendons and causing his latest movie Hercules' shooting schedule to have to get delayed as a result. Given the fact that this would have cost the studio a lot of money, it's understandable why most producers are now less happy to have Dwayne wrestle matches, and it's meant that, aside from one sort of impromptu match with Eric Rowan at WrestleMania 32 that lasted all of 6 seconds, whenever he's returned since, it's been in a non-wrestling role, either showing up to deliver one of his trademark promos, inducting his father and grandfather into the WWE Hall of Fame, or helping out the likes of Ronda Rousey or his cousin Roman Reigns. Outside of the ring, though, his movie career has only continued to go from strength to strength, with his continued roles in the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Oh yeah, I saw him in Fast and Furious, but only in the first one he was in. Because there's so many Fast and Furious I haven't seen.
He's also done multiple
in this
films
one,
for Disney, having featured roles in hits such as
Maui,
Moana and The Jungle Cruise, while also starring in a number of buddy comedies with his frequent collaborator Kevin Hart.
He has so many movies now when you think about it.
And continuing to build his empire even further from here, he's moved into film production, creating his own company, $7 Production, and helping to fund projects such as the Jumanji reboot, and his next major upcoming role set in the DC universe, Black Adam, and oftentimes foiled to the likes of Superman and Shazam.
Oh, wrestler Andy, you have no idea. As a DC and Marvel girl, like sci-fi and fantasy, I know everything about it movie-wise, not comic-wise, movie-wise. This was a flop, my friend. And it's not because of The Rock, okay? Don't get me wrong. Rock did perform, but the storytelling, the action sequences, the cutting, like the whole direction of the movie was really bad. Still was entertaining, but, you know, underwhelming. I expected much more. Much more. But yeah.
Damn. On top of this, he's developed and starred in a number of TV shows, such as Ballers, The Titan Games, and Young Rock, the latter of which tells the story of his younger years before he was the most electrifying man in entertainment. All that while meanwhile, back in the world of sports, he's recently purchased the XFL, with him now planning on doing what Vince McMahon was never able to do by turning it into a legitimate force in the world of football. But the question most wrestling fans will continue to ask is, will we ever see him in the ring again?
For sure.
Up until recently, that might have felt unlikely, but given recent rumors that have been going around, it seems like he's actually getting set to make yet another triumphant return.
For sure.
This time, supposedly to face his cousin and current face of the WWE,
that's amazing.
Roman Reigns.
Did it happen?
In fact, many expect this match will take place next year at WrestleMania 38, but there's been no confirmation yet as of the time of this video's recording. So we'll have to wait and see if it happens.
I don't know. I feel like it would be something that would happen because I have seen a shorter documentary about Roman Reigns as well, like 2 days ago, and I reacted to it. It's already on my YouTube. You can click here to check it out. And it is actually the fact that Roman Reigns did always go with some people who is he related to and fight them in the ring and bring the family matters and the heritage and everything into question. So as a storytelling, I think it would perfectly fit with The Rock as well because they both have the same heritage.
Whether it does or not, though, The Rock's legacy is secured as one of the greatest, if not the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Really? If we were talking about box office draw and mainstream success,
I don't know. What do you
the
think?
only two people who could challenge him are Hulk Hogan and Steve Austin. At a
God.
time when the industry was at its hottest, the People's Champion had audiences everywhere glued to their screens, and he's proven in the years since that no matter how long he stays away for, he'll always be just as relevant whenever he chooses to come back.
Yeah.
But in-ring success aside, he's also been able to break out of the wrestling bubble in a way that no one else before him has.
Yeah.
At this point, there's a whole generation of people who don't even associate him with being a wrestler anymore, in fact. To them, he's not The Rock, he's Dwayne Johnson, the biggest movie star in the world. And
That's what
while
I
for
said at the
wrestling fans,
start.
he'll always be their guy, for the larger culture, that
about
will
me?
ultimately be his
Both.
legacy as one of
He's
the
both
greatest
for me.
entertainers of his generation. Someone who's managed to completely dominate
That's
Hollywood
true.
and who doesn't look likely to give up this role anytime soon based on what he's got lined up over the next few years.
That is so true.
So with that in mind then, we should all get used to many more years of seeing him electrifying our screens because he's only gonna get bigger and better from here,
Nice.
whether it be in football, wrestling, business, or movies. And that's a fact if you smell
Huh?
what The Rock is cooking.
Oh no.
Well guys, what did you think of the video? Let us know in the comments below.
He tried, and he tried, okay? Here, I like for him trying to say it the way that Rock would say it. Trying is the word.
Don't forget
But
to
their
smash the like button,
is
subscribe to the
cooking.
channel, as well as follow Wrestle with
Terrible.
Andy on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks for
Andy,
watching,
thank you so much
and we'll
for
see you
sharing.
next
I
time.
enjoyed it so much. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for sharing. The Real Ahoy, thanks so much for sharing this video with me. I really enjoyed it and enjoy learning more about The Rock and his career throughout WWE and the fact that he went against Steve Austin and John Cena. One of the, I feel like, the greatest matches that I would like to be a part of because I'm kinda more attached to these characters than others at this point, you know, because I don't know a lot about WWE. But yeah, that is it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more, and let me know in the comment down below what do you think about the idea of watching as a challenge all Rock movies and series, every appearance, Hollywood appearance that he had, and literally rating them in 1 week time. Like, make it a challenge. Like, I wake up, I watch, I react, I rate it, and then I upload the full videos of the movie reactions and stuff on Patreon, but then the shorter version in one pack video here on YouTube. But that is it. Thanks so much for watching. I love your faces, guys, and see you tomorrow with a brand new one. Have a wonderful day. Bye.